Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to Big Sister. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. Thank you so much for those of you who are subscribed to my channel. Guys, just look around. I have a little bit of everything to share with you guys. I have also been starting what I call military corner because I have been in the military. I have served in the military. And I have a lot of advice in treasures that I can share with soldiers, people who are thinking about going into the military, as well as those who are in the military. And you may just want to hear just what can you do in certain situations, understanding your rights, understand I don't know everything there is to know about it, but I know enough and a lot. And aside from new regulations and things like that, the core principles and the morals and ethics of the armed forces is pretty much going to stay the same. So do check out my channel, guys, and see what's on there. And I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe, guys, because when you like it, give it a thumbs up, then the videos circulate. So guys, I want to talk with you. When is it ever okay to cut off your family? Is it ever okay to cut off or to remove yourself from your family members or certain individuals? Well, I would tell you straight up that I would say that should not be your very first go-to. If you can, do your best to make things right with your family. Do your best to try to maintain that relationship. Do your best to try to work things out and give your family love, give your family grace. And I understand that not all family dynamics are the same. In situations where you're in danger and you are being harmed, then there's no thinking about that. You have to protect yourself. We have what's called fight or flight, and it's just something where you're in any danger or you sense harm or anything like that. Our natural instinct is to protect ourselves and to create distance and even run away if need be, depending on the situation. So we see a lot of times in the news, children are being abused. You find children walking around without clothes on. Just recently, some children escaped out of a house. They were being chained up. This is a no question, guys. There is no, trying to work it out. No, these people are abusive. But what I will say, guys, and I'm going to go a little bit further, is when it comes to family, you want to give your family every chance, every opportunity. You want to nurture these relationships. You want to hold on to that relationship as much as you can because you're supposed to, right? That's what family is. We're one. We are the same blood. We share the same DNA. We are family. And that should really be your initial, in my opinion, your initial approach when it comes to family. However, I'm going to say this here. When there comes a time where you have to, as you get older, you're going to realize some things. And you may have to make those tough choices. What would it take really? And what scenario would it be okay to walk away from your family? Well, each scenario is different, as I said. You don't want to discard your family just because you didn't get your own way. If you're a child that you normally get your own way and your family disagrees with you, or they have a difference in opinion about a matter, or they may call you out on something that you're doing wrong, and you just expect your family to go along with you. You expect to always get what you want all the time. And if your family doesn't say yes all the time, then you're going to cut them off. And that's wrong. When the relationship is about quid pro quo, which is you do this, then you get that, that is selfish and that is not the right way to be. Okay? But the the way that you know when it's time to distance yourself is when your family puts you in any type of harm. When they show you that they will do things to jeopardize your well-being. When they are emotionally abusive to you. When they are verbally abusive to you. When they are mentally abusive to you. And you're going to know what that is. You may have a family member who, when they're angry at you, they'll do things to you. Let's say, I've given this example before. You may have that family member that when they're angry at you, let's say they would normally pick up your children for you from daycare if you have children. Well, when they're angry at you, they won't get your children. Let's say if you're in the hospital, when they're angry at you, they're not going to come and pick you up. They'll leave you in the hospital. They'll jeopardize you. They won't give you a ride if you need a ride. Basically, when you have a family member who is vindictive, malicious, vengeful, they become that way when they're angry, or they just do that in general. When they'll hurt you, harm you, or your family, that's a strong indication you need to distance yourself. They want you to suffer. There is no limit to what they will do when they're angry. Maybe they're the type that when they're angry, they will say horrible things to you. Maybe even in front of your children, if you have children, in front of your husband, in front of your wife. They'll jeopardize you. They'll call your job. If you have a family member that becomes vindictive, that family member that will go after your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, who would really do something that could endanger you or your family, that's when you know you have to create that distance. They are verbally abusive to you. They discourage you. They talk down to you. They may even say things to you as if they wish you were dead or you were never born, or always compare you to other people. Threaten your life. Threaten to kill you. Threaten to harm you. Threaten to get your children from you if you have children. And I'm not talking about if you are actually putting your children in any danger and a family member or friend or even just anyone in the community notices that, they have an obligation to report that. But you have people who are vindictive. That means they'll call CPS. They'll make up things and allegations against you. When you have a family member that will sabotage you, that will hurt you or harm you and do something to you that can really mess up your well-being. They try to mess up things on your new job, your promotion. They call you, they try to do things they try to mess up your friendships, break up your relationships. This is one of the few indications that you have to create distance between you and that family member. Sometimes you have to make it where it's occasional, and other times you have to completely remove yourself. Another thing I want to interject here is when you have a family member who brings up your past, and they bring up things that they know hurt you, or things that you're insecure about with your body, things that you've struggled with, your weak points. When they going and hit that, that's a strong indication. It all depends. But is there a time that you ever have to cut off your family? Hopefully not. But sometimes you have to. When ironically you may share DNA, you may share the same last name, you may have the same parents, but you realize that they are capable of treating you as if you are an enemy, as if you are a stranger. Whenever you reach a place of complete depletion, they're hurting you so much, you think to even harm yourself or hurt yourself, or you're so stressed out. When you get around them, they're disrespecting you. They are just draining your finances. You're always the one that have to provide everything all the time. This is good. You can help your family. But what happens when it's at your expense? When you can't even provide for your own family? Where you're always expending and giving and giving and giving and you're not getting anything back? When you've depleted your savings? You see, sometimes you'll have that guilt. If I'm your mom, I'm your dad. But there's something that I read in the Bible. And while this is not a religious message, it's something that I remember seeing. That parents, or it says fathers, are to give to their children's children. But sometimes in society, and I'm not saying that children should not help their families, this is good. But sometimes the parents will really abuse the children and take them for granted. And what it means, they were not provided. They gave the bare minimum when they raised the children. They did not plan financially. They did not plan well. So they have no money. They have nothing. So the child had to figure things out. They had the basic needs and they made it. And now they got their education. And because their parents did not plan well, they become financially dependent on the child. That child makes better decision. And the parents go, you're supposed to take care of me. I took care of you. But did you? Now the child has reached a place of wealth and financial stability. The parents still bring that same level of irresponsibility and squandering. And now they want to latch into their child's finances and deplete it, and that poverty mentality. And because they've never earned and they've never saved, they just have this expectation. So the child may even go as far as to give the parents, you give them $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, you give them $100,000. The parent not having any experience or never having been responsible with finances will squander all of it and be back in a couple of months. I want to say here, there's nothing wrong with helping your parents. There are many cultures who this is a practice and there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone helps each other. The family is like a helping hand, helping unit. However, there are some that they do take their children for granted. They deplete their finances. They are just about getting what they want and they are entitled. You may have siblings like that. And you have to make a decision. Do I just allow myself and my finances to be depleted? Am I the one that always have to be taking care of everything and no one else is? And they make you feel guilty because you're educated and because you've accomplished some things. You had to work hard for that. And even with the things that you accomplish, you still have to maintain it. A lot of times people look at your house and your car and look at what you have and, oh, you can give me. No, this house costs. This car costs. There's maintenance required for this car. These clothes, it costs money. I have insurance. I have homeowners insurance. I have to take care of the grass. I have to do all these things. I have to pay for whatever is needed in case of emergency. See, people that don't have any sense of accountability, responsibility, they don't own anything, they borrow and don't give it back and all the stuff, and they have a lot of debt and stuff. They're not going to understand that. So when their children mature or their siblings grow up and they choose another way, they may have the family members that have that expectation of gimme, 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 gimme. What do you do in these situations? Well, a lot of habits and things and families that may have a habitual way of behaving constantly, which will be habitually. A lot of times, if you really look back at your family lineage and the relationships of the past, you may see that the same type of behavior comes down from generation to generation to generation. But within every generation, there may be a few that it skips and that child chooses differently. And so what happens is at that point, you are now going to be the change for your generation. And sometimes that's going to require, when you have a family member or members who wants to behave a certain way and they have this expectation and they're abusive towards you, sometimes it's going to take you separating yourself so that that chaos that has always been the norm in your family lineage is not leaked to your family, because you may experience that right now. You may have families who are combative and abusive, and you try to bring your family around them and they experience that. Or you try to introduce your fiance or bring your husband or wife around them, and it's just chaotic. You may get embarrassed, or they're asking for money and things all the time. And when they can't get it from you, they're asking your spouse or your significant others or the person you're dating. And then because that person likes you and they don't want to come between your family, they could be secretly being extorted. So what happens is sometimes you may reach a place that you have to make a decision, whether it's to distance yourself. That means I'm not around as much. I come only on certain occasions, if that, or I just send cards. Or sometimes you end up having to remove yourself completely so you can start a new chapter for yourself, where you have peace, where you can save, where you can build, where you can heal. And if you already have a family, where you can remove them from the chaos. Because what's going to happen is, if your children and your family is used to this toxicity, it goes from generation to generation to generation. You have these parents and siblings that's been doing certain things, and or siblings or the combination. They've been behaving a certain way for so long that now they ruin your family. Now your children are hearing arguments, hearing insults, hearing just the most ugliest things, watching you be disrespected. It's them against their cousins. You don't want that, because all it takes are some seeds to be planted. Hurt and pain sits there and it takes root, and then now it continues from generation to generation. If you really think about it, sometimes you have doubt, and you may think, I don't want to do this. I want my family, and that's how you should think. But a lot of times your family does not think that way. They don't think that way. Sometimes they like to apologize, but they'll keep doing the same things over and over. And other times they don't apologize at all. Other times they want to keep you in your past. You may have made some mistakes growing up and you've matured, but they're still there. They're still back in 2000. They're still back in 2005. They're still back in 2001. They are back in 1999. They're still back in the 80s. They're going way back, and they keep bringing it up. They keep bringing up this thing that you do, and they bring it up, and they may even throw it out there in front of your boss, or you invite them to something and they embarrass you. You have to learn your lessons. When sometimes as you are different from the rest of your family because you are set aside to bring something new for the next generation. And when you're trying so hard to get them to accept you, or trying so hard to show them how much you love them, and they continue to abuse you, you'll be ruined. And you will not be able to be the trailblazer for the next generation. Okay? So do that. There are times when separation is necessary, and you shouldn't be guilted about that. You see, what's funny is a lot of times the people who have abused you and mistreated you over the years and disappointed you and lied to you and did all these things, they will bring up family to guilt you, because they know in your heart family is important, but to them it's not. Otherwise they would not have treated you that way. So you're going to know within yourself when it's time to go. And when you make that decision, don't feel bad about it. You've had many years with your family members, probably have at least a decade, 10 years. They've been doing certain things, 20 for some of you, 30, 40, 50. They're not changing. They become entitled. They don't see you as a person. They see you as, I gave birth to you. But giving birth to someone does not mean you have the right to abuse them. You have not been put on this earth to be abused. You have a purpose. So, as I said, it's not ideally in the beginning, yes. I mean, for your first thing is you want to try to keep your family together, make amends, make things right, give them love, give them grace. But at some point, you're going to have to decide. And what did I say? When they'll jeopardize your what? They'll jeopardize your well-being. They'll do harm to you. They'll try to mess up your finances and your money. They'll turn you against your children. They'll befriend your enemies. They'll do things behind your back. You're going to know. You're going to know there's going to be something that they do that it shocks and hurts you to the core. And that's when you're going to know it's time for me to go. And there's nothing wrong with that. You are doing this and you're setting a new trend and a new standard for your family. And that's what you need to do. And that has nothing to do with it. You see, you have to realize, especially when you have a family, you are responsible for being the guardian of the gate for your family. And if you have toxic family members, people who are disrespectful, it is up to you now to separate, protect, and keep them back so that you can teach your children peace. You can teach your children respect. You can show them something differently because you can't control what your family does. But you can set a new standard for your own. Does that make sense? All right, guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment below if you have any experiences or any advice yourself that you like to share. All right, guys, bye.